You walk into a store with $10,000 cash. Two watches sit in front of you, a Rolex and an Omega. Fast forward 5 years. One is now worth $15,000, the other just $6,000. Which is which? Here's the thing. The answer isn't what most people think. Rolex has the reputation, but Omega has some serious tricks up its sleeve. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which models hold value, which ones tank, and why the safe choice might actually cost you money. Before we dive in, understand this. You're dropping serious money on something you'll wear for years, maybe decades. It's not just about telling time, it's about making a smart purchase. Rolex and Omega both sit in the luxury category, but they play completely different games. Rolex is the king of exclusivity, limited supply, massive demand, waitlists that stretch for years. Omega is the underdog with serious credentials, actual moon watches, incredible craftsmanship, but way easier to buy. Today we're cutting through the hype with real data. No opinions, no brand worship, just cold, hard facts about which watches appreciate, which depreciate, and what that means for your wallet. Let's talk about what these brands actually represent. Rolex is the ultimate prestige play. Walk into an authorized dealer asking for a Submariner or Daytona, and you're looking at wait lists that can stretch years unless you've got serious purchase history or connections. This scarcity is intentional. Rolex controls supply strategically, creating demand that drives value through the roof. When someone sees that crown logo on your wrist, there's instant recognition. It's become the universal shorthand for success. Omega takes a completely different approach. They're the value proposition in luxury watches. Here's what most people don't know. Omega makes incredible in-house movements that rival Rolex in quality. The Speedmaster was literally the first watch on the moon. NASA tested it to destruction and it survived. Yet you can walk into a store today and actually buy one. No games, no wait lists. A Rolex Submariner starts around $10,000 retail, and good luck finding one at that price. A comparable Omega Seamaster runs $6,000 to $7,000. And it's sitting right there ready to go home with you. We've got scarcity and hype versus accessibility and heritage. But which strategy actually protects your investment? That's where things get interesting. Let's get to the numbers, because this is where rubber meets the road. We're looking at value retention in the first 1 to 3 years after purchase. This is critical because most people don't keep watches forever. And if you need to sell, you want to know what you're walking away with. According to recent secondary market data from Chrono24 and Watch Charts, here's what we're seeing. The Rolex Submariner 126610WLN has a retail price around $10,000 if you can even get one. On the secondary market right now, you're looking at $12,000 to $14,000 for a recent model in excellent condition. That's a 20 to 40% premium over retail. You basically made money just by owning it. The Daytona is even more extreme. Retail sits at $15,000, but try finding one used for less than $28,000 to $32,000. Now flip to Omega, the Seamaster Professional 300M, which competes directly with the Submariner, retails around $6,500. Sell it after 2 years and you're getting $4,800 to $5,500 if you're lucky. That's a 20 to 30% loss. The Speedmaster Professional, the moon watch itself, retails at about $7,000. Secondary market shows $5,500 to $6,500. Again, you're taking a depreciation hit. Here's the brutal reality. Rolex scarcity means people pay premiums even for used pieces. Omega's availability means buyers just go to the authorized dealer instead of paying your asking price. In the short term, Rolex wins on pure numbers, but the long-term story has important nuances. So why does this huge gap exist? Let's break down the 3 main factors that actually drive watch value. First, supply control. Rolex is a master at this game. They produce around 1 million watches per year, but they distribute them strategically to create artificial scarcity. You can't just buy a Submariner because Rolex decided you can't. Omega will happily sell you whatever you want, whenever you want it. More supply equals lower resale value. Basic economics. But it's why Rolex feels like an exclusive club and Omega feels like a premium product you can actually own. Second, brand perception and recognition. Here's the honest truth. Rolex has achieved mass market recognition that Omega simply hasn't. It's become cultural shorthand for luxury and success. Omega has incredible substance, superior anti-magnetic technology, coaxial escapements, actual space history. But substance doesn't always win against status. When resale time comes, you're selling to the market's perception, not the watch's technical specifications. Third, condition and documentation. This is huge. A Rolex with its original box, papers, warranty card, and all links can command a 20 to 30% premium over one without documentation. It proves authenticity, shows care, and gives the next buyer confidence. Same principle applies to Omega, but the dollar impact is smaller because the base value is lower. Bottom line, keep everything that comes with your watch. That paperwork could be worth thousands down the road. Rolex value is driven by controlled scarcity and brand power. Omega value is driven by actual watchmaking quality that the market currently underprices. Know which game you're playing before you put your money down. Enough theory, let's get practical. I'm going to walk through 3 different buyer profiles and tell you exactly what makes sense for each. Scenario 1, you want a daily wearer that won't lose money. You're not trying to flip it, but you also don't want to burn cash. Here's my recommendation. Target a Rolex, specifically a Submariner, GMT-Master, or Datejust in stainless steel. Yes, you'll have challenges getting one at retail, but if you succeed, you're essentially parking money in something you can wear every day. Even if the market cools, these core models have decades of proof they hold value. Avoid the flashy variations like solid, gold, or gem set pieces. Those actually do depreciate. Stick to stainless steel sports models. Scenario 2. You're treating this purely as an investment for maximum return, not risk time. If you're committed to watches as investments, focus on vintage or discontinued Rolex references, pre-owned Daytonas, certain vintage Submariners with desirable features, or rare reference numbers that are already appreciating. Modern Omega won't perform here. The depreciation curve works against you. But here's the critical catch. The investment game requires serious knowledge. You need to understand reference numbers, spot counterfeits, and evaluate condition grading. This isn't casual buying. Scenario 3. You genuinely love watches and want the best quality for your money. This is where Omega shines. For the price of one Rolex Submariner on the gray market, you could buy a Seamaster and a Speedmaster and still have money left over. You get exceptional movements, rich history, beautiful finishing, and watches you can actually wear without paranoia about damaging a highly valuable asset. Sure, you'll take a depreciation hit if you sell, but if you're planning to keep it for 10, 20, or 30 years, that initial depreciation becomes irrelevant. You paid less up front and got phenomenal craftsmanship. Ask yourself, which buyer are you? Because that answer tells you which brand makes sense. Which one actually holds value better? Rolex or Omega? Here's the definitive answer based on the data. For mainstream stainless steel sports models, Submariner versus Seamaster, Daytona versus Speedmaster, Rolex destroys Omega on value retention. It's not even close. You'll likely break even or profit on the Rolex while taking a 20 to 30% loss on the Omega within the first few years. This is simply the market reality driven by the factors we discussed: supply control, brand recognition, and demand dynamics. However, there are important exceptions. If you're comparing precious metal Rolex models with diamonds or two-tone configurations against limited edition or vintage Omega Speedmasters, that equation can flip. Many gem set and gold Rolex models depreciate significantly, while certain collectible Omegas actually appreciate, especially vintage references with historical significance. So let me address the premise directly. For the mainstream buyer choosing between a standard Submariner and Seamaster or a Daytona and Speedmaster, Rolex holds value better, hands down. The numbers don't lie. But here's what I really want you to understand. The right choice depends on what you're actually buying. Are you buying a liquid asset that you want to maintain or grow in value? Then Rolex is your clear answer on steel sports models, assuming you can get them at or near retail. Are you buying a watch to wear and enjoy for decades? where you value craftsmanship and actual watchmaking over resale value. Then Omega delivers significantly more horological value per dollar spent, even accounting for depreciation. My advice: if value retention is your absolute top priority and you have access to Steel Sports Rolex at retail pricing, that's your move. If you value craftsmanship, wearability, immediate availability, and not playing allocation games, Omega gives you incredible value. Either way, buy the watch that makes sense for your specific situation, because the best watch is the one that aligns with your actual goals, not someone else's. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now. Are you Team Rolex or Team Omega? And more importantly, why? Be specific. Tell me which actual model you'd buy and whether you prioritize value retention or pure enjoyment of the piece. Some of you have seriously valuable perspectives, so let's get a real conversation going. If you found this breakdown helpful, I've got another video coming next week that dives into whether vintage Rolex is actually a better investment than modern Rolex, and the answer might surprise you. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Whether it's a crown or a seahorse on your wrist, make the choice that's right for you. I'll see you in the next one.